Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you had a great week. Summer break has officially started in my house. Has it started in your house, Danny?
No, no. Well, I should say technically no, because my kids are all still going to school, but none of them are waking up on time. They're not getting any homework done. They're just completely done with school. So I
So they're on
guess
their
it
own.
has, and they don't know. I spent. I mean, I got an email. We've been having some difficulties with my 14-year-old with him getting his busy work done, just turning in assignments. He's got stuff that he just doesn't want to do because it bores him. Basically, he's like, "Dad, I
Yeah.
know all this stuff. I shouldn't have to do, you know." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, but you have to. These are the requirements." And I got a thing from his teacher in, I think it's algebra he's in, and said, well, he has at least one assignment or one assessment that he has a 50 or below on it. And I went, dude. And it was a 5 question assessment. They don't use the word test or quiz, they use assessment. So it was a
Okay.
5 question assessment. I'm like, so you went in and you took this assessment and you got two of them right and three of them wrong. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you need to sit down and study this before you retake it. And he goes, I don't need to study. Like, buddy, you obviously don't know the material. He's like, I know the material. It's easy stuff. It's just, I don't remember what it was, sliding or something like that. I don't remember even the word he used. I'm like, eh, okay, let's look at this logically. There's 5 questions. You got two.
Yeah.
What other answer is there than I don't know the material? Just tell me
Yeah.
another answer. Because I mean, if he had said something like, well, I didn't really want to take it, or I just wasn't motivated, or, that was the day I had, I don't know, he doesn't have migraines, but let's say a migraine or something. There was sure, there
Sure.
could be a reason, but realistically, you don't know what you're talking about. You didn't study the material and you failed. And I fought with him for an hour last night. And then we set, and I went through every single homework assignment, anything that was potentially missing, possibly missing, just hadn't been graded yet, which is, there is a lag in their system and has been since we moved here, where you have things that you've done, but you just haven't gotten a grade for it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the grade shows as a 0, which drops your grade to from an A to a, I don't know what I mean, but it's 100 to 0 plus the average of that is 50. So you have a D or an F
Now, is that
in this
really a lag,
class,
or is that just the teachers not getting their work done
Well,
on
that
time
might be the
too?
lag. They might be the reason for the lag, but it could be my kids too. I'm definitely not blaming the school system in this. I mean,
Sure.
I
Sure.
know my kids are, um, I'm really trying to stop using the word lazy. I really feel like lazy is a word that I learned from
Yeah.
my childhood, that my
Unmotivated.
parents,
Does that sound about right?
unmotivated. Bingo.
Unmotivated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the word that I'm using now. It's like, well, no, no, no. He's just my kids are unmotivated a lot of
Yeah.
times.
Trying to
I
figure out
told,
how to give a shit.
yeah, right, bingo. Yeah. I mean, I told Fabian, I said, look, you're using the car, you're going to work, and you're going back and forth to school. Now you graduated, you still have to get up and take your brother to school in the morning. And then you have to go pick him up in the afternoon. Period. That's just part of your responsibility as you, that's what you get to use the car.
Yep.
Period. I mean, that's nothing. That's, I mean, you don't even have to do maintenance, you don't have to change the wipers and none of that stuff. You just have to take your brother in, right? And he didn't. And again, that was an argument yesterday. He didn't get up. His brother went to wake him up, and Fabian was like, "Go away! I'm sleeping in. I don't have to go to school anymore." And I'm like, I'm not fighting that fight today. Get in the truck. We'll go. I'll take it. But I told him last night, you have to get up in the morning, and I will come get you up if you're not up, and you will not yell at me because this is our deal,
Yeah,
right? This is
I got
our
a
deal.
cold cup of water for you, son, to wake up to. That's how we're
I
gonna play this
I don't
game.
even need that. I just tell him. He doesn't play with me. He doesn't push me. He doesn't at all. He's one is because he knows that he really trusts that I love him and I want what's best for him. And that's been a hard thing to establish, but it's been a very, very beneficial thing.
Yeah,
I don't know that he's like I was never scared of my dad, right?
yeah,
I wasn't like especially when he was, I was in my, like from 18 on and he was past his prime, right? There was no way, I mean, I could have picked this man up and dropped him, if it was if we got into a physical fight, I would have won, right? But I never pushed back against my dad, and I can't say that it's fear, maybe it's respect or we used to use the term when you talk about fearing God, we'd say it was a fear of displeasing him.
mm,
It's a fear of his disappointment more than it is, oh my God, he's going to kill me if I don't do the right thing.
yeah,
And it's that same thing I think that Fabian's got for me. So I don't need to throw water on him. I just knock on his door and he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, time to get up. He's like, okay, I'm up. I'll get up. And he does. But
yeah.
it's just been so many fights for the last 2 days that I mean, Memorial Day was Monday, so we had the day off, and I had a migraine all day long from like the parties and the graduation and all that other stuff. And Tuesday, it was still kind of my head was still kind of ringing, and the kids, every one of them, every one of them had to have a fight with me at some point. Just something, not of course, not a physical fight, but just that they were grumpy or unwilling or unmotivated. And it was just like, I'm like, no, we have a great relationship. You feel secure in the love of this family that that you can sass me a little and we can play a little, back talk back and forth, or we can trade jokes and maybe even insults. You can tell me how I'm old and fat and balding, and I'm not going to get all mad at you, but you won't disrespect me and you won't disrespect your
Yeah.
mom ever. Right. And it's just been a lot of that because they're ready for summer. They're done. They do not want to have to, follow the schedule of every single day, every single no, it's summertime and they're
Well, that's
feeling it. So,
so speaking of schedules, so that's the one thing that Corey and I have spent time talking about as to like what do you do? Like how do you set that up for
right.
the summer? Because like, yeah, you can't just sleep till whenever you want to wake up and kind of do whatever, especially the situation like we've got where, I'm trying to work as well
Hmm.
as take care of the kids. And so we actually we came up with like a schedule so that the
Hmm.
kids kind of can see these are the expectations when you get up and get around and kind of time stamping everything
Hmm.
so that way and it can fluctuate and have flexibility in it and it will, but
Yeah.
at least there is a core foundation to go back to, especially on those days when there's like we don't have anything planned for the day, or
Right.
it's raining outside or whatever.
Right.
So that was huge for us. So I have a note actually on my phone, like 8 a.m. is wake up and they get dressed or they can come down and get breakfast and get their vitamins and stuff and then get dressed, whatever. No TV during that time. They can sit at the table and eat their breakfast so that way they aren't lingering forever.
Hmm.
Because
Yep. Yep.
like I gotta finish my show. I just started this
Yep.
show. I need to
Right.
finish that show, like that kind of thing. Yeah, that thing. And then once they get dressed and everything else, like if there's some chores that need to be done, like getting that knocked out, and then just some time to read and
Hmm.
spending time doing that in that way, there's some sort of academic structure in that for them. And then that all of that time basically leads up to about lunchtime, really.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we do that, and then, you know, from there it's sort of what's the day got planned for it if that's the case, like unless there's something I got to do like early in the morning type of deal, but like hey, like let's go outside, let's do this, let's do that, like just whatever it is, and then time for more reading and creative time, and then
Hmm.
some tech time at the end of the day, like they've done a few different things, like okay, like hey, you want to play on the Switch, you want to get on the iPad, that kind of thing for a little
Hmm.
while, like while I'm kind of prepping things for dinner, that kind of stuff, like that's kind of the time for that because it's just like all right, I need to be able to do my thing. You can
Hmm.
enjoy some entertainment in that kind of way. And so that's kind of what we have set up, and we hope that that works out. And of course, like I said, it's gonna have flexibility. We also have, Kings Island passes. So it's like,
Hmm.
hey, like, all right, we're gonna go do the amusement park side. So like gates open at 10. All right, we want to get up there and get around, like do that
Yeah.
for a few hours. Or we can go in the afternoon and we're gonna go hit the water park and stuff like that. So you know, those kind of things are on the horizon. Along with too, I've got dads who are excited to just get out and hang out with other dads and kids at the parks
Hmm.
and stuff. And I've
Sweet.
already had guys being like, "Hey, man, like, when are we going creeking? When are we meeting up to,
Yes.
go walk and drink coffee and let the kids just run about and that kind of thing?" And so
Yeah.
lots of fun stuff like that. And those are the things where it's like, most of us dads are that, especially are in a stay-at-home dad type situation. It's like we might not get that during the school year so much because it's like, all right, I've got this amount of time with no
Hmm.
kids. What can I accomplish? And now it's like, I
Yeah.
have this amount of time with the kids. What can we do? And it's important to be able to have some structure in that, because if you're just
Hmm.
willy-nilly every single day, it will zap your energy so fast.
Yeah.
I have experienced it so many different times and it sucks.
Hmm.
So bad.
And it comes down or it comes back to me for, the phrase kids spell love time,
Yeah.
right? And I love, like, with my older two, they're teenagers, and their body literally switches to where they want to stay up all night and sleep all day. I mean, that's
Yes.
just their hormonal changes. I mean, that's where they're at. And I'm not going to fight that too much, but if I don't make a schedule, if I don't have something planned for just to fit each of them in their own way, this whole summer will be missed.
Yeah.
And this is my last summer with Fabian at home. I mean, I'm sure he'll come back after, for summer break during college, but this is about it for me with him. And I've only got a few more with James, and he's turning 15 this summer, so he doesn't have long either.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I'm taking that time, and with my littles as well. You I love the idea of an unfettered, unscheduled, let's go just do whatever every day. And that's great if you let your kids think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you actually, like you and Corey have done, and like I have done in some ways too, is you have to have a plan. You have to have something of a schedule, because you will lose that whole summer, and you'll come out of it going, what did I do? What did we
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
And you'll, like you said, you'll be more tired. You really won't get the enjoyment out of it, and your kids will not get the enjoyment out of it. And
Yeah.
I'm
Definitely.
I'm good with, even with whole days of, no, do whatever you want. We don't have to clean anything. We don't have to pack anything. We don't just just sit around and read books and make paper crafts and whatever you do.
Yeah, well,
But
that's the thing too. Yeah, because so
mhm,
like you have like, libraries have reading programs and they
mhm,
have different like little classes and stuff that you can go to. And, if you've got a community center that's really active, like they have
yeah.
stuff to do. So like there's actually a lot of things that the community itself already has planned for the summer because they get it. Like,
Mhm,
maybe you don't want to, you can't spend all the time doing that. Like, but they have people who are, coordinating different events and creating different activities
mhm,
for you to be able to come to with your kids and enjoy that time together. And I think that that is something that gets missed a lot in
yeah.
communities. And there are communities that don't have it. I get that. Like, sometimes they're just places where, maybe it's just too small or something like that, depending on the area. But for the most part, there's something going on and or nearby even as well. So I think
Mhm,
that that is definitely something not to sleep on for
mhm.
sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And it gives you that resource of other parents,
yeah,
potentially
yeah,
friends for your kids, the kids that get together, and you're like, yeah, our kids really have a good time together. Can we get them together during the school year? What events do you have? Or, can we just get together, once a month on a Saturday?
yep,
And it may not be the parents that have the greatest time in the world with, but it gives you another parent at least. And it gives your kid a stable, this is my friend, we're going to go do this thing, once a month or whatever. And I
yeah.
think that's great. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
no,
benefits.
definitely. Well, I saw too recently where a mom had posted about the fact that there was a new family that moved into her neighborhood, and I guess there weren't a lot of kids that kind of as like her kids were growing up, and now like they're at that age where they're around like 10, 12 years old or whatever, and they met the kids down the street. And the other day, one of the kids came down and was like, Mrs. So and so, can Johnny come out and play? And she was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is happening. Like
This is it. Yes.
nostalgic 90s mom. Yeah, sure, Johnny. And like she was like, I'm just so stoked because my kid is going to get to have a sandlot summer. And I was like, I love that.
That's a
That
great
to
statement.
me, yeah, to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, oh, that's what needs to be brought back is the Sandlot summer. Like, how cool
Yeah.
is that? And I was telling Corey about it, and I was like, man, I wish there were some more kids in this neighborhood to be able to, for our kids to be able to have something like that. Cause it's just, there's really not a whole lot of kids in this
Hmm.
neighborhood. And two, like, it's one of those things where you also have to have that I guess security slash vulnerability to be like, okay, like you can go hang out with these other
Hmm.
kids kind of deal. And it so that's we're still kind of wrestling with that in some ways. I'm like, well, maybe we'll go walk around the neighborhood and see if we bump
Yeah.
into any kids on like, the adjacent blocks to us and kind of go
Riding
that
your
route.
bikes and just see if people see you out, then maybe they'll oh well, let's go ride our kid, go see if we can hang out with these people. My
Yeah.
kids came up with a great idea when we first moved in, and we looked they had looked at all the kids in the neighborhood and their houses, and my daughter said, Dad, we need something in our yard that no one else has.
Mm.
And I went, what do you mean? She goes, well, so and so has a trampoline, and so has the big swing set, wood, play set, and this one has the tire swing, and then the I don't know what they're called, but the flat swings. They look like a almost like a small trampoline, like the
Yeah.
little,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's hanging from a tree or whatever. And she's going through it, and then so has kind of a tree house. We could do that though, Dad, if you want to put it in a tree house, and maybe a zip line.
Oh,
No one else has that. And I went, right. And I went, well, no, I don't think I could do a zip line in my backyard. Kids would have to sign a waiver before they come in my yard. I can't because I'm like, no, this is a broken arm is waiting to happen. Right. So I've been looking for ways to offer something to my kids that they can enjoy that none of the other kids have. And I've come up with a slack line. And I don't know if you're aware of
yes.
slack lines, like a tightrope, but it's a wide band and it's slack and it bounces. And there's people that actually walk on it and then bounce on it and like do flips and all that stuff. That's not what I want because they have an upper line that goes across as well. And
Yeah.
everybody recommends you get two so you can have one to hold on to. But the upper line you can make like a little ninja course. And basically, you have rings to hang from, you have ladder to climb on, you have swings or things that just spin in place, and all kinds of little toys and stuff that you can get into it and then end up there basically ninjaing their way across the yard or about a 50-foot stretch of the yard. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. I have that actually for June 1st, which is when we have we get paid once a month, so we all have money again, and we're going to bring that up. And then on top of that, I don't know if we've talked about yet our goals for our summer, or goals for our kid for our summer. But
No,
that's
we
something
haven't.
we've been looking at. Uh, okay. And yeah, I went and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so my oldest is easy. Getting ready for college.
Yeah.
You know, that's
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 simple. Pack him
that's
up,
your
send him
one
out.
goal, right? And get him. He's got an orientation to go to. He's got to find his rooms and what have you. Something that I found very interesting is that because he's in the LGBTQIA plus community, and I don't know if this is the entire college anyway, but especially for that, they he requests what gender his roommate will be.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right. And I went, you know, if I'd gone to college and they said, what would you, I'm like, a girl, it would have been, it's obviously mutual, there's somebody else that would be willing to share that room with you. But with
Yes.
him being trans, especially, and being gay, it kind of puts him in a potential of some issues. So they basically have a large section of that dorm this is all the LGBTQIA plus kids. And I shouldn't say kids, maybe young adults would be better. So he's got that, and he's like, well, I'm going to go look at the dorm, and then I'll probably meet my roommate. And I don't know what they chose, who they worked out with. But that for him, that's his summer. You know, that's all I want him to do. We're still going to go to the lake. We've got a big wedding to go to. We've got trying to do state parks and things like that. But for him, that's it. Just figure out your college stuff. Get your poop in a group. Get whatever books you need. Be ready to go to college because you're leaving.
Yep.
And that's not a
Well, and deciding
request.
like what things
Kicking
you're
you out.
going to take and what things you can't take and are not
Right.
going to take and that kind of thing. So that's also
Yeah.
another big part of it. Yeah, it's gosh. So think back to when I went to college. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. And, and it's still pretty much the same experience, I think.
Yeah.
My wife is going into it and like, oh, we got to get you this and we got to get you this and little stuff like a shower caddy. And there's like a little basket that you carry your soap and shampoo or whatever in.
Flip flops for the shower.
Yeah, flip flops, exactly. Yeah. And just the little stuff that you don't think about. You know, well, he's got. It pains me to admit it, but he's got Crocs and he loves
Dude,
them.
there's nothing wrong with Crocs. I love Crocs.
Yeah. You love flip flops too. Do you love flip flops?
No, I love Crocs, man.
Cultured swine.
No. I have
cannot do
Crocs. But I have Crocs that actually like they're not the flat version or whatever that like the original Crocs. Like mine actually have like soles
heels.
No, not heels.
I wanted you to tell me
and
you
not
have
cowboy
giant,
and not
like
cowboy
a 4-inch,
boots. No,
a 4-inch pump heel on your Croc. That would be amazing.
They're for
Heelys.
They're like a outdoors style, so like they actually like grip and they have some traction to them and things and tread. Yeah, so like I like them a lot. They're really nice. I use them when I go kayaking. They actually have like a Velcro back to them, so I can actually like not have to worry about them slipping off and stuff. So yeah, man, like Crocs are good. I love Crocs.
I know they're good.
They're so
I
cool.
just can't. I can't do it. Can't do it. The
Crocs
the problem
and socks,
is
that's the problem right there.
My father-in-law was here this past weekend to go to my son's graduation from high school and all that, and he sees Fabian wearing Crocs. He's like, "Oh, that's a pretty good. I love Crocs." I'm like, "Man, I love you so much. Now you've just tainted it." And he's like, "There's nothing," because he's an old farmer. And I don't like Crocs because I don't like my feet uncovered. I want boots on is what I want. I want that protection. That's what I'm used to doing. You're walking in places to get muddy or maybe get cut or stuff like that. You need something that's going to protect you. And he's like, when we're at the lake, I go out to the boat. I just slip them on. They're real easy to get on. I walk out. If I'm working in the water, I just keep them on. If I get on the boat, I just keep them on. Wear them the whole time, Danny. I'm like, dang it, man, don't make them better.
Hey, after a long day in shoes or boots and whatnot, being able to take off those and just put on a pair of Crocs as like house slippers or whatever, that's the key right there.
And this is why I don't like them. And this is because it's me, not the Crocs, right? It is me. Because I don't know how to relax. I don't know how to be comfortable. I just don't. That's not how I grew up. My whole life was stuff coming at you. You got to be ready. You got to be prepared. You got to protect yourself. And my wife and I were talking about this weekend just a little bit. I'm like, I just can't relax. I have to have alcohol or THC to relax. And I can't. I just don't know how to do it. Right. And I think that's why I don't like Crocs, because they are the ultimate comfort shoe. The ultimate, why are you wearing these? Kick off your boots and socks and just put on the Crocs and just squeak your way around the house and enjoy yourself and be comfortable. And I'm like, no.
Hey, now, do you remember a couple years ago when I put out a house fire a couple doors down from me?
Yes.
It was my Crocs that I was able to slip on and jump the fence with the hose to do that. Just saying. Wouldn't have been able to do that with some tennis shoes. That lace get caught up in there. Next thing you know, like bomb flat on the ground. Like,
but if you got slip-on work boots,
No,
Like I used to have a pair of work boots that I would just pull them on and go.
nah,
No lace, no zipper, nothing.
too heavy.
And I always had a pair of pig boots, which is your boots that are specifically for working with pigs because they stink so much, and you're not going to get that smell out of your boots that I left outside the house
I don't
that I
need those
always
sitting
had.
beside my bed. My wife will not be
Right.
like, "What?
You leave those
What
outside.
porky
You're getting them
pig
on as you
thing did
go
you
out.
bring
So
in
you're
here?"
running outside.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So I love Crocs. They're a good deal. So, hey,
I'm trying.
switching
Yeah, go ahead.
gears a little bit. We're getting into June. It's pretty
Hmm.
exciting. New month, new things. There's lots going on.
So much.
I know you got some specific things that you wanted to talk about. Us. I was gonna bring up two things that just happened here in the past couple of days. One, you had the Indy 500 for our race fans and sports people out there. So that was a really cool race that
Hmm.
actually got delayed for multiple hours on end due to a big storm that came in. But they got the race in just basically barely in time. Honestly, I felt like because they don't have lights or anything, so it's like you run it in the daylight or you don't run it at all, kind of deal.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
they started it like just in time to be able to get it going. So that was a fun race. Lots going on there. Um,
And we need to say Joseph Newgarden won.
Joseph
We
Newgarden
need to say
won.
that.
It was an amazing win. And actually it's the first time in like over 20 years that a driver has won back-to-back Indy 500s. So that was really exciting too.
Hmm.
Uh,
And the
he has a
reason,
he has a
mhm.
very unique style of celebrating, which I
Yeah.
remember. I remember there was a another driver, Montoya, who he was known as his nickname was Spider Man, and he would always, when he would win, would climb the fence and be like 15, 20 feet up, hanging on, like pumping his fist or whatever. Which I was like, if I was the crew chief or the owner, I'd be like sitting there, like clutching my heart as my driver did that after racing all that time. But like, Joseph gets out of the cockpit, he runs across the racetrack, and he literally does this, like, I don't know, Dukes of Hazard slide like through this like little gap in between the wall and the fence and ends up like running up into the stands to like celebrate with everybody. And the best part about this was like I see him do this and I see him run by like a state trooper, and the state trooper's like, "What the hell?" Like he, he was not expecting that at all. And like, he bolts and takes off, and everybody's of course running with him as like one big, entourage. And
Yeah.
it took that state trooper a bit of time before he finally got back and was like, "Come on, man, like stop making my job harder than it is. I'm already dealing with all these
This
drunk
is
fools
it's
right now."
right. I don't have to deal with you too. And then
Yeah.
he drinks milk.
Well, that's a
He drink
that's an
that's
Indy
an indie
500
thing.
tradition right there. You
And
you always drink
going
the
back to
milk.
like the like one of the first, like in the 30s or something. And I'm like, or the 1930s. Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah. I mean,
La-
this was the 108th running of the 500, so
Mhm.
pretty exciting stuff. I was actually looking through my kind of books and things over here, and I've actually have a couple of programs and some tickets from the races
Nice.
I went to, and some of them are even
Well,
signed by the winners and stuff too from those years. So that was really cool.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on from it, I just want to make sure all of my geeky friends and listeners in the audience understand that I just Googled this just now when Brock brought it up so that I could sound like I knew what I was doing, but I actually know nothing about the Indy 500 except that it's 500 somethings.
It's 500
So
miles. It's a two and a
yeah.
half mile track. Yep. That's
Well, I don't
it's
want
a
to lose my geek cred. Okay. So I just want to say I
oh,
did Google
okay.
it like a pro. And so, but anyway, you had two things before you were so rudely
Yeah.
interrupted.
No,
What was
no,
the
you're
other
fine. You're fine. The other thing, and I woke up to this morning. I love baseball. Actually got to go on Monday to a game with my wife and kids, and
one?
with everybody from the brewery I work at. And we got to watch the Reds beat the Cardinals, which was really cool. That's a big rivalry for us. But I
Hmm.
woke up this morning to a really neat news story. It says that the Negro League, so the American Negro League statistics will now be incorporated into Major League Baseball's historical records. So when they are talking about, different records and things that take place like during games and things like that, like they will actually now be also incorporating those players who played in the Negro League. And it's just something like, it's crazy that it's taken this long, like for real.
The fact that it wasn't already is what hits me.
Yes,
Because I was
exactly.
unaware of this, of course, because again, sports. But I'm like, what do you mean it's getting like it wasn't already? Because you said just the word American Negro or the words American Negro League. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not anything recent, is it? I mean, that's like
No, this is back.
you
I mean,
know
this is from way back.
1800s or something.
But it says though, but it says here, like it says that it's been 3.5 years since MLB officially elevated the Negro League statistics to a major league status. So back in
No.
it's back in December of 2020 that they like even elevated their stats to a major league level, which is
Mhm.
crazy because like that's what these guys were. I mean, they were major league baseball players, just happened to be people of color and were not looked at as equals.
Right.
And so you had all that going on, and it's taken till 2024 for finally like people to get their heads out of their butts and like actually just like, oh yeah, we are all equal and we can,
Jesus.
basically
Just
puts together. So yeah, so
every time I hear somebody go, well, there is no racism in this country. We are all equal. And I'm like, you are ill-informed is the best word that I can use for you because
yeah, you
no,
are you are definitely completely ignorant of
yeah,
it's
you're
like,
missing
jeez. Yeah, so
well,
that was so
deep
anyway, like
breath and move on, deep breath and
yes,
move
yes.
on. Don't get
So
all upset, Danny.
just exciting from the fact of a sports fan that those kind of statistics, those historical markers are now going to be something that is a part of the history of Major League Baseball.
Good.
um, is great. I mean, because in all actuality, they do have, some different things. Like they, for Jackie Robinson Day, they all the players wear the same number. It's really neat. Like you have their
Nice.
last names on the back, but they're all in 42.
Wow. Cool.
And it's so neat. And there is they do some of the stadiums. I know we've done it here before. They've actually had players who are still alive, and maybe even some of like their family members, depending on who it is, actually be up there to be ceremonially acknowledged as being a part of the Negro League and that kind of thing. So like you've got that side of things, and they've got a museum. It's actually out in Kansas City. Um, and so I have a friend that went out there recently and said it was just an amazing experience. Apparently they're not open on Mondays. So because I was planning on like trying to set up a trip, and they're like, they're not open on Mondays. I'm like, dang it, that's the day I was going to go out there.
Right.
So, but anyway, they do have a museum, which I think is awesome. So at least like their history is preserved in that fashion. And I
Mhm.
know that not every stadium has this, but we have our own Hall of Fame. And I know that we've had different things on display there. We've got the
Mhm.
Underground Railroad Museum here, and I know that they've displayed stuff
Yes.
in there as well.
Oof.
So just some of those things, like there
It's
is
heavy.
elements of that league that are accessible, but
Mhm.
now it's going to be more. Hopefully, some of these individuals that played are going to get their day in Cooperstown, which is, the mecca for baseball. I
Mhm.
think it's only necessary. I think it's only right, honestly.
Mhm.
Um,
Agreed.
so I think that it was only just recently that the like the women's, like, like you had like the League of Their Own movie, and so like
Mhm.
all the women that played during World War II and stuff like that, like some of them actually have been brought into Cooperstown and stuff. And so it just getting all of that together just makes me feel better as a sports fan, because it,
Mhm.
it is a it is a miss it was a missing piece for a long time. And I love
Yeah.
too when you go to a game and they give you trivia, and it's like you get the little bits of things, but now to be able to have this trivia in here, which is stuff that most people are not going to know.
Right.
And so
Right.
great stumpers, but at the same time, great learning experiences for everybody who is like, oh yeah, like I love it when they put up that question, because, either one, I know it because I'm such a diehard fan, or in this case, like I don't know it and it's just educational and it's one
Mhm.
more little nugget that I get to hold on to. So yeah,
Nice.
so that I just wanted to share that, just with
Well,
the
it's a
everything.
perfect time for it. You're coming into June,
Yeah.
one because of June 19th or Juneteenth, which
Hmm.
is also known as Emancipation Day, and the first real step towards equality. And it definitely wasn't a line of delineation per se. It was a gradual, well, it's a little bit more where you're technically free. And then we had a whole bunch of laws that made it where you basically, I'm not getting into that, but the celebration of that, or that really actual first announcement and final announcement is like, this is it. There's no more slavery in America. And the fact that we existed in a time, that our country existed in a time when slavery was okay. It was fine. And that just really makes me upset. I can't imagine anybody thinking slavery was okay. But again, you're looking at people who think of people that aren't like them are subhuman,
Right.
and there's a whole thing on that. And I don't want to get into all that because we're trying to keep the show kind of light, and I'm not, I'm definitely not light about that. I want to get very upset about that. But
Yeah.
it's a perfect time when things like that happen, because Juneteenth, and also June being Pride, which is one of my favorite months of the year, to be honest, because there's just so much joy that people show at Pride events and Pride parades and things like that. And I'm really looking forward to. I don't think I'm going to have it done because, again, ADHD, executive dysfunction, yada yada. But I really want to have a free dad hugs event at a Pride parade. That's what I'm looking for as my long-term goals, and I don't think I'll get it done this year again. But to have the T-shirts, to have a little booth set up, and just to be there for people to tell, because there's a free mom hugs thing going on already usually, and just to have free dad hugs, to just tell people, yeah, I love you just like you are. You're enough, just like you are, right?
Yeah.
So I think that really segues well into what we're looking at June, and then big day for both of us is Father's Eve.
Yep. Father's Eve's coming up.
You're
Yep.
you're having if I understand it correctly, you're the official Father's Eve group for the Dad Lounge. Anybody talk to you about that yet?
I don't know anything about
Whoops.
that.
Well, guess what? So we're doing the Dad Lounge is going to be everyone in each time zone is going to be calling in to the Dad Lounge.
Okay.
One camera, or one phone or whatever, so it's not going to be 30 people or whatever at your gathering that all call in at the same time, but one person is calling in. Then at 8 o'clock at every time zone, we've talked about this in the past, we do a toast to
Yeah.
fatherhood,
Yeah.
and that's Father's Eve's thing, and we've had that, we've discussed that several times. So we're finding people in each time zone,
Okay.
and hopefully this isn't my my wheelhouse specifically, but I was hoping somebody was contacting those dads that we're expecting to call in and be our official network representative for their time zone. But
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
something we could talk about as it gets closer. But
Definitely haven't had that conversation with anybody, but that's okay. It's still early.
we're
Um,
expecting great things out of you, even if you're not
I mean, I was
been
planning on calling
ready.
in anyway, and
Hmm.
I actually the location that I have secured has a big projection screen, so I was planning on having, kind of the Zoom
Hmm.
uh call or whatever it is up there anyway. And so yeah, I mean, I'd planned on being there to call in and whatnot. I'm hoping that a lot of guys are going to show up. So
Yeah,
we're doing duck pin bowling and a bunch of other fun
nice.
stuff like that. So
I'm having my
yeah,
first Father's Eve here at the house. I've got the local men's group is coming, and actually having
nice.
well, Dale Van Valera. I don't know if I assume you know him, but he's
Yeah.
a big part of the organization, our volunteer coordinator. He's actually coming up.
Oh, nice.
He's about 2.5 hours away in Illinois, maybe three. So he's coming up for the event, which I think is cool.
That is cool.
Um, yeah, and so we're hoping to have maybe 10 or 12 people. We'll see. I'm going to get a thing of bags, cornhole.
Cornhole. There we
So
go.
that
I'm like,
yeah,
bags. What are you doing with
it's
bags?
where you come from. I hear it different ways. John Francis, the official creator of Father's Eve, calls it bags. So I can't say it's a bad thing. We're gonna do bags, and then I'm gonna do Hammerschlagen.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hammerschlagen. Explain that one to people, because that one I
It's ridiculous. I don't know where this came from, but basically you get a big stump, and everybody puts a nail in, like taps a nail in, and the purpose of it is to hammer the other people's nails in completely. And then it's a drinking game too. So you have to take a drink if your nail is hammered all the way in. You have to finish your beer or whatever. But in order to get a swing, you have to toss the hammer. You have to throw the hammer and catch it. And whatever way you catch it, you cannot adjust it. You have to hit immediately. So if you caught it with the claw towards the nail, you have to try to hit it with the claw, right? You just got to swing. You can't adjust your swing. And if you throw it like under your leg and catch it, you get 2 swings. If you throw it behind your back and catch it, 1, you're insane. Don't do that because you're drunk. You're going to kill somebody, but people do it anyway. But you get 3 swings on a behind the back. And I don't know, man.
It's interesting.
I can't wait to see how. I've seen one game previously at our men's group. I think I probably talked about that before, but it went very well. Nobody got hurt, and everybody was having a lot of fun. So yeah, we're gonna play a game of Hammerschlagen and see how that goes.
You're gonna have to really tap into your Thor
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
is too is if you're a blacksmith, a hobby blacksmith included, like I am, one of the things you do is the importance isn't how hard you swing, it's targeting. It's hitting your target, right?
Yes.
So you get a little 1x1 stake and you put it in the ground in front of your shop. And before you go into the shop every day, you hammer that thing down. And every day you're spending time just hitting your target, just hitting your target. And that's it. Because it's not how hard you do it. It really isn't. You're just moving the metal like you want it to. It's about the precision. And I'm watching these guys and I'm like, wow, you guys suck. It's like none of them would hit the nail. I mean, it was just like, you have 2 strikes. You go wham and you miss the first one. I get it. But you missed, you know how to adjust. You just adjust, right? And again, it may just be that I've hammered a lot of nails in my time. But it was hilarious. And I'm like, I'm not playing with you guys. I'm not. We'll put money on it and I'll play. No, not gonna be that.
I personally feel like just as when you pick up a pair of tongs for grilling and you do a little clappity clap with them.
Yeah.
When you pick up a hammer, you should be able to give it a little flip toss and grab it back by the handle. That's to me, that's the next thing that you get into. So
exactly.
And that's the key. Like you do that and then you whack, the nail. I will say too, probably not drinking a whole lot while doing that's usually good. Just saying. Like otherwise you end up turning into like a Acme character and end up with a really big, throbbing toe.
Right. And it was amazing to see the guys trying because a couple of our guys are kind of competitive, right? And they're like, wait, so how do I get 3? And they're practicing trying, like while we're playing, they're not really practicing. They're throwing it behind their back and trying to catch it and stuff. And I'm just like, no.
Welcome
Throwing a
to
hammer
the ER,
behind
what brings
your
you in
back
today?
Exactly.
I
And you
have
just
a
go
claw.
Hammerschlagen, just Hammerschlagen. And then the doctor will be like, yeah, okay. We get a lot of those this time of year.
I'm schlagen, and I did some Hammerschlagen.
So we have Father's Eve to look forward to. That's going to be a lot of fun. And for anybody listening, if you want to know more about Father's Eve, John Francis has an amazing website about it. You can also talk to us through Facebook or Discord or wherever you know us, and just reach out if you want to get something going in your area. We're all about more Father's Eve celebrations because it's the night before Father's Day. And it's a time to hang out with your fellow dads or just other men, if you like, that want to celebrate their dads. It's a good thing. It
is a good thing. It's been a really neat event. I have seen some really cool things happen at those events where, one dad might invite another dad that they're friends with to like come to it. And then what ends up happening is like that dad knows another dad that's already there, or, you find a couple dads who are like, I'm recently divorced. And like, so am I. I don't know how to function. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too. What I really need is just a friend, somebody who
men's group, mentor in a men's group.
Exactly. And so, you get different things like that take place, or, just like, oh, hey, like your kid plays baseball, the same league that my kid plays baseball. Like I've seen you across the way. I've just never, felt the need to walk over and talk to you or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, just all those kind of things like really take place, and it's all very organic, and I love that because it doesn't have that forced feel to it. My other thing that I really enjoy about Father's Eve is that it's open to anybody who is a father, and so like I've had gentlemen who are grandfathers show up to it before, and they're probably some of my favorite people that show up because one, they get pure entertainment out of hearing all the stories about what we're
Mhm.
going through as fathers. And then on top of it, too, they share their own stories. And so you get sort of that old man around the campfire type
Mhm.
mentality, and everybody gets a good story and laughing and whatnot. And so that's the other part that really truly makes this event what it is because it spans across generations. And
Mhm.
that's the one thing that I truly try to uh, accomplish every year is to
Yeah.
have multiple generations there.
Mhm.
So
And even if your dad wasn't there, you know, there's
yeah,
still people that will sit with you, commiserate, and talk about their dad, and good stories and bad. And there's something about it because we all have maybe not a dad by that casualness of that word and the intimacy that'll give you, but a father. We
yeah,
all have a
father figure. Yeah,
biological parent, that brought us into the world, and hopefully a father figure. And it's a good place to just sit and go, yeah, this is what this person taught me. This is what this person showed me, or this is what I've learned since I've become a father. And that old man around the campfire thing that you mentioned is one of the most important things I think we can do as fathers is just talk to other dads and be like, okay, so what are you struggling with? Okay, well, I'm doing this, and I don't know what to do. Like, how do I get my kids into, I don't know, the alto saxophone? What is that? He wants to play alto sax. I don't even know what it is. I mean, it's a simple thing,
yeah.
but all of those things are things that other dads have experienced,
Well, I've
and I
also
think it's
gotten
very community building.
yeah, and like I've had dads who, they're like, hey, you know, I'm married and I've got like my wife has a kid from a previous marriage or
Hmm.
relationship, and I really want to adopt this child, and I don't know where I don't know where to begin or what to do. Does anybody have any connections with that? And that happened yesterday, actually. We had a family from church over for lunch, and I was like, as a matter of fact, yeah, like I know a great family lawyer who would be more than willing to talk with you about that. And this
Hmm.
family too also was like, we're house hunting. We're trying to find a place. And I'm like, do you have a realtor? And they're like, well, yeah. And they're like explaining their situation. And I'm like, would you like a realtor that like comes with like a highly accredited like background with this and helped all these other families out? And they're like, that sounds interesting. So like, just sharing those resources and being able to be like, here's the numbers for these people, give them a call, like they're great kind of deal. A lot of that takes place at Father's Eve as well. And I just think that it's nice because too, Sunday itself, like Father's Day, is usually where you have like, the partners are trying to figure out like, okay, what do I want? What do we want to do? What can we do to honor him? Like that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I find that interesting too. I'm like, hey, like maybe just ask him. Like I saw a mom post that was like, hey, I don't really know what to do, but I want to do something special. This is like, kind of his first Father's Day kind of deal,
Oh,
or
yeah.
last year I didn't really do very well with Father's Day, and so I want to make this one special. And I'm like, ask him, ask him what he would like to do special. And you can even put perimeters on it, like, me and our kid would love to do something special with you. What does that look like? And that way, he can kind of make the choice, and it's something that he wants to do, but you get to go along and get to be a part of that time. And that's
Hmm.
really what you're trying to do. You just can't figure out what that activity or thing is.
Hmm.
So just humble yourself and ask the dad, what would you like to do with our family that is you're kind of the guy, because it's like
Yeah.
how many times is it that us dads a lot of times are just along for the ride, like,
Hmm.
oh, we're doing this because XYZ person wants it, not because I want it, because they want it, and I'll put a good smile and good face on for it, but
Hmm.
that kind of
Yeah.
deal. So yeah,
Well, we're we're getting close to the end of the time.
We
And I wanted
are.
to say one more thing
Yeah.
because I know you will understand. And I think most of our listeners will as well. So I finally bought a bike.
I saw that. I heard about that.
Yeah. Went out and spent just a ridiculous amount of money, in my opinion, on a bike, but also I won't spend $40 on a pair of pants. So I'm just cheap, and that's all there is to it. But we found a bike that was on sale. It's a hybrid. It's the size that I wanted. It wasn't the color that I wanted, but I'm okay with that. You know, it's a thing.
Spray paint will fix that real quick.
Right. Yeah, yeah. But my wife wants to be a biking couple. She wants to bike down to the farmer's market in town. I'm going to end up getting a little pull behind a trailer or something that we can put stuff in. I'll probably go to, there's a grocery store within easy reach. You know, if I need to go get something that isn't going to melt, basically. So she wants to do that. And she wants us to spend time as a couple, like riding, you know, the Green Circle Trail here is like 20 miles or something. There's plenty of places to ride. Standing Rock is close, and it's more for mountain bikes, but there's still good places. So I capitulated, and I'm like, okay, this is what you want. I'm okay with it. I haven't ridden a bike in a million years. I haven't bought a new bike really ever, except for my kids. So we went and we did it, and we buckled down and got a bike, and it was pretty cool. You know, I mean, it's a really good bike. The gearing isn't right, like what I want it to be, and I'm gonna have to talk to him about changing that up because I really can't. The fastest I can pedal, I need it to be harder to pedal so that I can get faster speed. You know, just because I want to go really fast. But anyway, so brand new bike, right? And you know, bikes are gonna get scratches. You know, bikes are gonna, you're gonna drop it. You're gonna run in. You know, I'm not gonna be like protecting it, wrapping in cellophane bubbles or anything, but things happen.
Right.
But things happen on the trail. Things happen for a reason. Things happen where you can look at that scratch and go, you know, that was when I dropped it when that bear came out of the woods and I took off and threw my bike at it. I mean, it's a story, right?
Right.
Evidently, part of the story, and I think we're all aware of this, is that your kids just knocked the thing over and scratched the living crap out of it.
Yep.
And I go I think I was just leaving the house and I'm looking at it, and it has got three huge, and it's a flat, like the bars of it aren't round. The tubes are kind of squarish, you know. So it's a big flat top. Right when you get on, you're looking right at it, and there's the 7 because it's the bike number or whatever, and there's 3 scratches on it where somebody knocked it off. And every time I get on, I'm gonna look down and go, somebody scratched my bike, you know. And it's I have to say, because I'm gonna go riding as soon as we're done. I'm trying to ride at least 2 or 3 times a week. I want to do every day eventually, but you know, knees and all that. And I'm going to go out there and just be like, and every time I see it, I'm like, who did it? Who did it? And I want to say this is part of being a parent is you just let that go.
Just can't have nice
You
things.
don't go ask. Right. It's going to get scratched. It's going to get bumped, and it's just going to be a nonsensical thing that your kids should not have done that they did anyway. And now you've got, you know, a broken TV or whatever, you know, just whatever it might be. So again, scratches don't stop a bike from working. It's fine. Everything's cool about it.
Yep.
But it's not beautiful and pristine like it was just a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah.
And I just wanted to share that story as a finale here, just to offer some, I got a bike. And
Well,
then also, dang it, got my bike scratched.
I will say this just from somebody who is an avid rider and has been riding for years, especially with you living in the cold weather area, and this goes for anybody else in those kind of areas. It's not a bad idea to look at some sort of either hook system for up in the ceiling for your bike to hang from it during the cold months, or one of those ones where you got a rack where basically you can take the weight of the bike off of the rims, because you don't want the rims to, with the weight, to actually have it sort of like flatten out. And so, and that's also good too for being able to, you know, you can hang your bike up, and that way maybe your kids don't knock it over as well too.
I was gonna install hooks and hang it by the tire, not by the tire, by the wheel, by the rim.
Yeah.
Would that work?
Yeah, that's
Like
what I
you say,
do.
but it's flattening. It's not going to flatten it out from the other side or anything. Okay.
It's not
All
gonna,
right.
it's gonna, the rim itself will be fine. It's got the structure for it. It's not a big deal. But if you actually have it to where it's sitting like on like concrete or whatever, like it will do that. And two, like if something were to fall on it, or you just are out there and you like lean on it or whatever, those aluminum wheels, they're not going to be able to withstand that, especially when your tires go flat, because the air seeps out of it because it gets cold. So yeah,
because of the cold.
Yeah. So putting it up on a rack on the wall, or putting it on hooks up in, on like the rafters or whatever, is definitely the way to go, because it's going to keep your bike safe. I usually keep mine hanging most of the time just because of the fact that I don't want it to get knocked over and scratched and everything else.
Yeah.
It's got enough scratches on it as it is, but I don't want it to get any more damage than it is. You were talking though about I'll say this and then we can get off here too. But you're talking about couples biking. So my wife and I, when we were before kids, we're out on like a little bike trail, and my wife wanted to be all like, "Oh, can I get a kiss from you while we're riding a bike?" And I knew I shouldn't have done this. And so this is actually a bit of a PSA. I'm riding along and I'm like, "Oh, sure, no problem." And I get really close to her, and I'm the one that's like able to balance the bike in a way where it's like, I know I'm not going to crash, but her, I have no idea. And so she's kind of wobbly, and I walk up and I literally like peck, boom. Next thing you know, like I'm on the ground, and I'm like,
oh,
good Lord. Like, I was like, you ain't never doing that again.
Right.
So don't try that. No matter how like romantic she thinks it is and solid in some romantic movie, it's not possible.
Right. Yeah. This was a film. They faked this. They were not actually riding bikes. They were on a platform that was moving. Yeah.
If you think about it, like the camera's up close, so obviously they've had a chance to like, hook something onto the bikes to keep them steady while they do it. So yeah.
Exactly.
You don't have that cinematography going on behind you.
They're on the back of a truck on a little trailer. You just can't see these things. There's no way that person was biking for the take after take after take after. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So happy biking. Enjoy that time. And I think that'll be definitely a fun bonding time for you and your wife.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, everybody else, thanks for listening. Hopefully the folks that are listening to this realize that the scholarship applications are closed at this point. And so we'll be contacting those who have submitted applications that we can actually fill the need to get you there. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll be back next week with more conversation. So y'all have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support. Connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At-Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At-Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today.